I used to think stability meant loyalty. If you stayed, kept things working, absorbed the awkward moments and the unfair ones, eventually people noticed. Eventually it balanced out. That belief lasted until the afternoon my brother told me my 3-year relationship had ended because of him. He didn't say it like a confession. More like an update. We were sitting in the back office of the family business, the same cramped room where I had spent most of my 20s solving problems that technically weren't mine. "It just happened," he said. Those were his exact words. No build-up. No visible guilt. Just a shrug that suggested life had bumped into itself, and this was the result. My girlfriend had already told me the night before. Her voice on the phone had been shaky, embarrassed. She said she hadn't planned it. She said it started as talking. She said she didn't know how to fix it anymore. By the time my brother confirmed it, the emotional damage was already done. But something about hearing him say it so casually made the room feel smaller. I waited for more explanation. There wasn't any. He leaned back in the chair, scrolling his phone like we had just finished discussing a delayed shipment. "I mean, you'll move on," he added. When I told my parents that evening, their reaction wasn't anger. It was discomfort. Not the loud kind. The quiet, careful kind families use when they're trying to keep something from spreading. My mother sighed and said relationships end all the time. My father asked if we could keep personal issues separate from business. My brother stayed quiet during that conversation, which somehow made it worse. Eventually someone said the sentence that closed the topic. "You should try to move on." They didn't say it harshly. They said it like advice, and for a while I tried. Not forgiveness, just silence. The next week I went back to work like nothing had happened. I answered supplier emails. I negotiated a delivery schedule. I covered a payroll shortfall that had somehow slipped past my brother again. Our family business looked simple from the outside. Small manufacturing operation, decent reputation, a handful of long-term clients. Inside, it ran on constant quiet adjustments. For years I had been the one making them. If a supplier got frustrated, I called them. If a shipment got delayed, I smoothed it over. If my brother forgot a meeting or misread a contract, I corrected the damage before anyone noticed. I didn't think of it as leverage. I thought of it as responsibility. But after the conversation with my family, something changed in how I looked at those small moments. Not dramatically, just a shift in attention. I started noticing how many problems appeared the moment I stopped moving toward them automatically. An invoice error stayed unresolved for 3 days. A client emailed twice asking for clarification on an agreement my brother had signed. Normally I would have stepped in before the second message arrived. This time I forwarded the email to my brother. Then I closed my laptop. No announcement, no protest. Just absence. At first no one noticed. Then small things began to stack. A delivery schedule got mixed up. A supplier started asking more pointed questions. Employees came to my office looking confused about decisions that used to be clear. Each time, I redirected them politely. "You should check with my brother." There was no confrontation at home either. My parents assumed things would stabilize the way they always had. They believed the system worked. They just hadn't realized how much of that system had been invisible. The moment everything became visible happened during a quarterly review meeting. Normally those meetings were routine. Numbers, projections, minor adjustments. But this one included a financial consultant we'd recently hired to assess long-term risk. He had spent 2 weeks looking through contracts, workflow patterns, and internal communication. Most of the meeting passed quietly until he reached a slide about operational dependency. He paused there, then he said something simple. "It appears that a large percentage of client management and conflict resolution has historically been handled by one person." He looked at me. My brother shifted in his chair. The consultant continued. "If that role were removed or changed, The company would likely experience immediate instability unless responsibilities were formally redistributed. The room went silent. It wasn't dramatic, no one argued. But something had shifted. For the first time, what I had been doing for years existed as a fact outside the family dynamic. Not a favor. Not an assumption. A structural reality. My father cleared his throat and asked what the recommendation was. The consultant answered calmly, "Clarify leadership roles and operational responsibilities. Otherwise the business is vulnerable." No one looked at me immediately after that, which made what I said next easier. "I've actually been meaning to talk about that," I said. My voice sounded steady even to me. "I'm planning to step away from the company." That got their attention. My brother frowned like I had just suggested closing early for the day. "Step away how?" he asked. "Completely," I said. No accusations followed, no emotional speech about loyalty or betrayal, just a simple explanation. I wanted to build something separate. I needed distance from the system we'd created. My father started to protest, but the consultant interrupted with a practical question about transition timelines. That moment made the situation real in a way family conversations never had. This wasn't an argument anymore. It was a business reality. Over the next few weeks, I transferred the responsibilities that could be transferred. Some things couldn't be. Client relationships that had been built through years of quiet problem solving didn't shift neatly onto spreadsheets. But that wasn't my responsibility anymore. The day I left, nothing dramatic happened. No confrontation. No apology from my brother. My mother hugged me like I was moving to another city. The business continued operating after I walked out the door. I know that because I still hear updates sometimes. Some weeks it runs smoothly. Some weeks it doesn't. But for the first time in years, that stability isn't mine to maintain. And the strange thing is, walking away didn't feel like revenge. It felt like something simpler. Ownership.